Hello! Welcome to Levels Plus Whenever, episode 78, the 22nd anniversary of this very enterprise is today. So I thought it would be just kind of novel to talk about it a little bit. And I've got a pretty good mountain of pickups as well, and we'll see what else we want to talk about. But we'll do the pickups first, because I feel like that's what I usually do. So we'll start with the amiibo. It has been a struggle to get the Pyra and Mithra amiibo. Here's Mithra, and here's Pyra. I care less about her, so I'm not going to keep her up as long. Both of them were an absolute pain to deal with pre-ordering, but I have them. If I didn't love playing them in Smash, I probably wouldn't have bothered, but they are like the best DLC in the second pass, in my opinion, in terms of my liking how they play. And that matters a lot because Pass 2, which is probably a topic I want to talk about, is the characters of Smash Ultimate at some point. I also got Soul Hackers 2. I've heard really good things about it lately, and it was dirt cheap. I paid $10 for it. So I got the launch edition that included some of these cards. That's one of the side characters. I also got a bunch of stuff from Japan. So I got the Heracles no Ico guidebook. Since I'm working on Femtendo 87, I wanted to get stuff that kind of related to it or future stuff, and this relates to 87. I was hoping it would have more art, but it doesn't. But I didn't pay much for it, so I'm not too bothered. The Deep Dungeon 3 guide, however, is already proving to be really helpful. Like, you can tell that there's multiple women in the game just from the cover. There's a bunch of art in there for enemies and stuff. It's going to be really useful when I get to that book, which will be, I think 1989 is when this came out. And we'll focus on Femtendo real quick. So I got a bunch of stuff that I've been trying to get for years doing this enterprise. And it sounds funny because I published Femtendo 83 through 86 in 2021, which feels not that long ago, but it's 2023 halfway through at this point. So I'm like, so I got Mother. This one has been so hard to get. I don't know why. It's like one of the most common ones there, but it never gets really cheap. And this one finally got under 30 and wasn't sold off by the time I did the order. I also got Conquest of the Crystal Palace in Japan, which I don't quite remember the name, so I will not butcher it. That's a really cool cult classic NES action adventure game. And then NY Yankees, which is not a baseball game, which the name might make you think. It's what was localized as Rockin' Cats, one of Atlas's few independently published games on the NES. And then Capcom's Mighty Final Fight, which has poison, which the Super Nintendo does not. So that's kind of important. And then just a random Viva Las Vegas, because you can play as a woman in it. I don't think the cart was originally like this. But it's cool. It gives it some personality considering it's just a casino game. I also got the second half of Famicom Detective Club, Part 1. And then the two Yuyukis. And I'm holding these at an angle because the camera gets a little weird with the reflections. Moving beyond Femtendo, I've got the boxed version of Sim City for the Super Famicom. as well as Mystic Arc, which is an RPG that Enix did. It stars a woman that I've heard pretty good things about. And then I got the 2 Goemon games that were localized here. They are expensive here, but they're not in Japan. I got both of those for under 20 bucks. And then I also got a couple Switch imports. I got River City Girls 1 and 2, which I just played through 2. And the Aleste collection, because this is probably never going to get localized. And I was reading from a couple people in the know that one of the games that was included on there, which is GGLS 3, an original Aleste game that M2 did for the Game Gear, got hacked and posted widely on the internet. And M2 found out about it, and they're a little upset. So odds are good that it won't be localized. So I was just like, well, before that news gets around too much, I'm just going to import this. And if it ever does get localized, then hey, I'm already set. And it wasn't too expensive. So those are all of the pickups. Quite a bit, actually. I think I mentioned last time that I had a bunch of stuff coming. Well, there it all is. So I started what was called Wildcat Online in 2001 on Tripod as a self-hosted site when I got my first computer after graduating high school. And I definitely feel that the person who started that site and the person who is recording this video are 2 very different people. I have matured a ton since I was 18, 19 years old. And my interest in games has evolved as well. I like covering games with a bit more of a either very personal, connective angle or a very academic, analytical level. And I feel like over the years, that's where Levels Plus has landed. It's a nice compromise between me being passionate about what I love about games, but also being critical at times, and being upset about things that happen in this industry when it comes to certain things. And when I started this whole thing back in 2001, I certainly did not anticipate moving to a completely different system of blogging, which is WordPress, which I've been on since 2009. Didn't anticipate making books about the work that I've done. I didn't anticipate making videos about this stuff. That I'm on 78 videos just for this show, not to mention all of the other side projects I've done. It's kind of wild to me to really think about. And there's a part of me that wishes I wrote more than I currently do. But I've been trying to work at that, like the Zelda essay that just went up, and then this Double Dragon Collection commentary I had. Doing some news about the Shadow of the Ninja remake. I'm trying to kind of find a place that's kind of in between these the 2 extremes, I feel, of wanting to write on this blog but also wanting to write elsewhere. It's tricky. It's tricky when you have so many things you want to do, how to budget that time. And I really feel like Levels Plus has gone through a lot of ups and downs. When it started, it was just a one-person operation. And there was a time where there were people helping me out with this project here on WordPress. Nestor and Jason X and Tay, who all wrote really good stuff that I no longer host because they all decided to go on their own ways and take their stuff with them to go do their own projects. And I sincerely thank them for their time and their interest in helping out at the time. But as I got into my university days, I felt like I needed to shift, and my friends that were helping out also felt the need to shift and do their own stuff. So Levels actually shut down for a little while as I focused on academic writing. And it wasn't really until I moved to where I'm at now and things changed dramatically for me since then that I realized I've missed this place, you know? I miss being able to write about anything about games, not just being critical about them, not just writing about gender or writing about localization or writing about stuff that makes me upset. I wanted to write about what I loved about games too. And that's how the Levels Plus kind of happened, is I brought it back in 2016-ish, and brought back as much content that I felt comfortable reusing. If you look up the archives tag, you'll find a whole bunch of stuff that comes from the days of yore, so to speak. And it's my enterprise again, but I'm really proud of this enterprise. The fact that I've published 3 books of material based on this blog, with many more to come, that I'm going to be getting back into Femtendo 87 after this month, I think. I've got 2 I'm trying to get out this month that are completely unrelated to this. But getting back into that, I want to make the Culture Clash articles, which I think I'm going to rename for the book. I want to publish some of those pieces into a book. I want to do another Best of Levels Plus book, because I love doing the layouts for that. And of course, Femtendo is going to be going for a long time. And I've also got like a Femtendo Zero project, which is like looking at things that came out before the Famicom was released and how that might have influenced Nintendo and developers of that time. So I have a lot of projects book-wise, and I also have a lot of videos that I want to make that are not just, you know, Levels Plus Whenever, which I'm really thankful I changed the format from being a weekly thing to being I want to do it when I want to do it mode. I think that really helped my brain space a lot, to feel a little bit less stressed. But I've got like plans to do more Let's Play stuff. I'm still trying to get Shoot 'em Up Summer to get together. It's hard to sit down and play 3 full games. I did half of an episode of that, and then I realized that I didn't want to do it the way that I did it. So that will happen. It might not be Shoot 'em Up Summer anymore. It might be something different, Shoot 'em Up Festival or something, to really call back to the days when that was a very popular phrase with shoot 'em ups. I want to get more Smash roster stuff out there. I do miss Smash being an active thing. It really got so much content because I love talking about Smash. But there's other stuff that I'd like to do as well. I just don't really know how to structure it yet, because this whole YouTube thing is, again, this is all a hobby. This is all something I do for fun. It's not something I'm trying to make a bunch of money at. The books are great when they sell, but it's kind of like the secondary purpose. I think the primary purpose for me with all of this content that I do is because I just like to share it. I like to share my passion. I like to share my thoughts. I like to share what about games makes me happy and critical. And that's basically what Levels Plus is now. It's not just, you know, a review site or a news site. It's a me site. It is an extension of the self, and that's partially why I call one of my series A Dual Life Perspective, is because there's this virtual piece of me that is so entrenched in games and entering those spaces and discovering what they're about. And then there's the real me that exists on this plane that does this work and does, you know, the things that I do in my day-to-day life. And Levels Plus is like a bridge between those. And I think that's a really cool way to look at this whole enterprise. So we're going to be going for a long time yet. I have no intentions on stopping. But I love my little blog here. And from this came the other three. If it wasn't for Wildcat Online, I wouldn't have the book blog, I wouldn't have my art blog, and I wouldn't have my compendium blog, which used to be my academic writing blog. They all wouldn't exist because this started it all. So I'm eternally thankful. Eternally thankful to this Levels enterprise and everything that it has brought to my life that is ultimately good. There's very little negative that I can say. I mean, even my interest in gender in games came from Levels. From MRA commenter who thought that his belief that women didn't play games was worth posting a comment on my blog, and now I've dedicated my academic career to studying gender in games. So there's just so much that Levels has done for me, and as Levels Plus continues to do for me. And I hope that you have gotten some degree of fulfillment the way that I have. And I just want to say thank you so much for everyone who has been a part of this at any point. If you've just looked at the site, watched a video, bought a book, went to Wildcat Online back in 2002 and did fan art for me back then, helped out with anything related to this site, I just want to say thank you. This has not been an entirely just me journey. It's been about connection, and while at this stage it's definitely like I run this thing and it's my opinion, it's built off of a lot of help and a lot of support. So I appreciate all of you so much. We'll have a little transition here, and we'll see what else I want to talk about. While I was taking a little pause from recording, I was like, you know what would be kind of fun? Let's talk about Smash, since I brought it up. Sakurai recently had a video talking about the development of Smash Brothers Brawl. And he said something that was kind of interesting, and that's kind of what I want to focus on. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up his video real fast, and we'll watch the part in question, and then I will talk about what he says.
当時のお話は以上です。シリーズ作を作るのに元の会社が手掛けないということも、フリーになったディレクターを中心に組閣するということも非常に珍しいことだと思います。だけど今後はどうするのだろうと考えています。今後ってスマブラスペシャルの後ですね。シリーズの存続には属人性をなくしていくという考え方があります。だけど今のところ私が外れたスマブラをイメージできていません。スマブラ X 組閣当時の岩田社長などの見解と同様です。誰かがポンとこさえてくれるのかというと現状そうではないんです。任天堂としても大事な大きなタイトルの一つですから、次の制作はあり得ると思いますが、その手法についてはいろいろ手を打つ必要がありますね。私もできることを任天堂と協力して進めたいと考えています。
So, Sakurai, which if you haven't watched his channel yet, I highly recommend it. It is just an exceptionally well composed set of videos talking about his experience with the video game industry, how he recommends people create games, all that fun stuff. It's really worth a look because I think he is just a really exceptional industry leader and has done so much, particularly with Smash, but also with Kirby and other stuff with HAL, that I really take what he says very seriously. And his video that I shared gets into something that Nintendo nor Sakurai have really talked about, which is the future of Smash following Ultimate. Ultimate really feels like Sakurai's last go with the franchise as its director. That's probably why it's called Ultimate. In fact, Kid and Krista recently did a video about this very topic, and Krista worked very closely with Sakurai when she was at Nintendo on Ultimate, and that was kind of the impression that she had, was that this was going to be Sakurai's big farewell to the franchise, and they were going to go all out and bring everybody back and bring in a whole bunch of dream characters that probably would not have even been fathomed if that intention wasn't there. And you can kind of see that with the roster. The new characters definitely are pulling from highly requested characters, or characters that just really are from huge franchises that deserve a spot in Smash because of their fame and notoriety at this point. So, Sakurai talks about that he doesn't feel that Nintendo has a replacement for him to carry on Smash despite its importance. He wants to continue assisting Nintendo in the process of making another Smash game. But it doesn't sound like he wants to have the same thing happen to him again like it did with Brawl, where he was ambushed of sorts at E3 to direct it after the game was announced, kind of putting him on the spot. He's kind of putting that intention out there now. Because he's basically, since Brawl, been doing Smash. He has not done a whole lot of stuff independently since then. He did Kid Icarus Uprising, and that was really like the break. Which kind of came from Brawl, so I kind of look at it as a bit of a sidestep of the Smash umbrella. And since Ultimate wrapped up in 2021, it's been pretty quiet for him. He started this video series last year, and that's kind of what it seems like he's doing, at least publicly. He's probably doing some stuff in the background that we just don't know about yet. But what does he mean with his comments about Smash? And I really do think that he's right. I think that Nintendo is thinking about the future of Smash and thinking about where it's going to go next. And I have a feeling that we will not be seeing all of these characters that are appearing in this mural that I'm scrolling through showing up again. The licensing alone is going to make that almost an impossibility. The companies will want to work with Nintendo, sure. I imagine that Capcom and Konami and Sega and Microsoft and Square Enix and Bandai Namco, SNK, all of those companies would probably be game to do this again, but would it be the same deal? Would Nintendo be able to negotiate getting Cloud, Sephiroth, Hero, and Sora all back without paying for them as DLC? What I have heard is that Cloud was an argument to get him to be in Smash without paying for him again. in the base roster for Ultimate. We've already seen cuts happen to third-party characters. We saw Snake disappear out of Wii U 3DS because Konami didn't play ball with them. So they were gone. And then we got Castlevania and Metal Gear Solid back for Ultimate. Will they do it again? And that's kind of the ambiguity we're in right now with a Smash sequel. Not only do we not know how it's going to play out in terms of a roster, we don't know how it's going to play out in terms of its creation. And Sakurai's posed an interesting thought out into the world, that Nintendo deeply, deeply relies on Smash as a big system seller, as a major franchise for them. It sells millions of copies, and the DLC probably sells millions as well. So if you take that combined amount of $60 for the base game, and then the extra $50 for the DLC, that's a lot of money. If you start thinking about millions of sales. And Smash has developed itself into a franchise that has hype automatically built in. Every single new character that comes into Smash has this aura of awesomeness or disappointment, in the case of poor Byleth. You just don't know what they're going to add. Unless there's an accidental leak on Nintendo's part, or there's incredibly deep sleuthing from the internet's detectives, as is the case of Sora, that a Disney licensing person mentioned offhand that Nintendo got some Kingdom Hearts music, and a very deep forum link somewhere. I don't even know if it was on the dark web or not. To Castlevania's Bloody Tears being shared on the website before the trailer was shown. It is a thing what Smash has done, and other developers are trying to capture that magic with their fighting games now. You see that with like even the imitators like Nick Brawl, for example. They're trying to release a second game, and they're trying to build that hype, like who's coming to the roster this time out of the Nickelodeon stable. You see Tekken doing that with their roster drops. You see Street Fighter doing that. Mortal Kombat. Trailers have become essential for fighting games to thrive. In this day and age, because of what Smash has done with trailers. I've done trailer reactions that myself, just because the trailers are so good, and like breaking down like which trailers did something for me and which ones didn't. Even if I don't like the franchise, was the trailer good? Like Joker's a great example. I'm kind of over Persona, but his trailer blew the internet away, and myself included. No one expected him to be in Smash. The series hadn't even been on a Nintendo platform outside of the Persona Q games on the 3DS. And now, 2 years later, since the game concluded its DLC, we now have Persona 3, 4, and 5 on the Switch. And I think a reason for that is because of Smash. And just thinking about what the future of this franchise could mean if Sakurai's not directing it, and if we can't repeat what Ultimate did with the roster and all this stuff, it really just starts getting overwhelming. It really just starts to get like, where does Smash go from here? Does it stay as a platform-based fighting game? Could it branch out into other areas, other genres? This crossover element of Nintendo characters getting together. Does it pare itself down to being Nintendo only? Or do we continue to engage with third parties to blow our minds that so-and-so from such and such is coming into Smash. It worked so well, starting with Brawl, with Snake. Snake started the whole tradition of having trailers mean something. And then Wii U and 3DS took it to the next level, and then Ultimate launched it into the stratosphere. The lore of Smash is something that any other gaming company wishes it had. And Nintendo knows this, and knows how much that means to their bottom line. And with Switch 2 rumors really starting to pick up, that it's possibly a next year enterprise, Nintendo's got to be thinking about it. They got to be thinking about, what are we going to do for the next Smash game? Because they've got their Zelda Tears of the Kingdom out there. So Zelda's now in that stage. 3D Mario is now in that stage. Has been in that stage for a long time. Pokemon, probably we'll see on the 8th, because there's going to be a Presents. But I have a feeling that Pokemon is also beginning to think about next gen in terms of a mainline game. I think we'll see a remake show up at this Presents, but I don't think we'll see a new mainline game. Fire Emblem, same deal. Xenoblade, I don't think we're going to see a new Xenoblade 4 on the regular Switch. Animal Crossing is probably a done deal for the current Switch. Metroid, we've got Prime 4, but that's been in development hell for so long that I think it's probably a Switch 2 game at this point. Kirby, we've had so many Kirby games. I don't think we're going to get another one unless we get a remake before the Switch 2. I think that Nintendo's beginning to think about the next system. And Smash is definitely going to be very high on that list because it sells systems. Much like Mario Kart, much like Mario and Zelda, much like Pokemon. It is an A-tier level franchise for Nintendo that means so much to their bottom line. And when we look at what Ultimate did, what it brought, where it took gaming as a whole, where it took its fans, its players, just even people in the industry, it is mind-boggling to think about where the franchise could go next. There's so many possibilities, and Sakurai's being ahead of the game and stating that he doesn't want to be ambushed with directing another one of these. I don't think he's got it in his health to do another Smash at the level of dedication that he does these games. But he wants to still be a part of it. And as an advising role, or like a consultant, I can't even say director, but like a producer maybe, Sakurai might be involved. But I don't think we're going to get another Sakurai-directed Smash game. And that's kind of sad in a lot of ways. This franchise came from an idea that he had at HAL about Journey to the West concept that then became a Nintendo mascot fighter that brought together 12 of Nintendo's biggest characters in the N64 era for a completely unique and ultimately groundbreaking fighting game that changed the rules on so many levels. So it's going to be an interesting time. Appreciate you watching. Have a wonderful set of days until we meet again, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care, friends.